This video will take a look at the software GeoGebra and a few of its applications in the classroom. GeoGebra is an educational mathematics software that was created by Marcus Hohenwater, who was a student at the University of Salzburg. He started this as his master's project in 2001 and continued development through his PhD program, which he completed in 2006. He's also started the International GeoGebra Institute, which is a program for teachers all over the world to continue development and helping this program reach its full potential. It is free to anyone through access of the web, and as long as a computer has Java, can be run. It also incorporates ideas from algebra, geometry, and calculus, so it doesn't limit itself to one focus, but can really combine all of these ideas. So let's take a look at GeoGebra now. So this is the home page of GeoGebra, which can be accessed at www.geogebra.org. And to get started, you just select this download button. From here, you can select Applet Start, which will open your own window so you can begin work. Once you have this window, it's a fairly simple software to use. Most of the icons that are most common are up at top, with pictures to help see which ones they complete, also with explanations so you know what you're looking for. Today I wanted to look at graphing and finding quadratic equations using vertex form, and I wanted to find something that students would find interesting, so I've incorporated the application for the iPad, iTouch, and iPhone called Angry Birds. So we're going to look at graphing some parabolas with this. I have taken a screenshot and saved it to my desktop. So first of all, I want to import a picture into GeoGebra. So in order to do that, I'm going to select Tools here at the top, scroll down and select Special Object Tools, scroll over and then select Insert Image. When I do this, there's a new icon with a purple flower that appears at the top, and this lets me know I'm ready to insert an image. Once this is selected, you can click anywhere in your window, and it will give you an open box to open the picture that I've previously saved on my desktop. So now that I have my picture in my window, I want to move it down so it touches my X and Y axis. So I'm going to select my pointer and then move this picture down to the axis where it's touching. So now I want to make sure my entire window is viewed, so in order to move what's visible on the screen, I can select these double arrows here, grab my screen, and move it over to where I can see both my Angry Bird and the tower. So as a part of Angry Birds, the object of the game is to pull the bird back, send him flying across here to hit the tower and knock down the pig. So before we get started, I want to actually have a grid on our location here in the window. So in order to do that, you can select View and then select Grid. So I have my grid showing, however my picture is over top the grid. So in order to get this grid behind there, I'm going to make sure my pointer tool is selected. I'm going to right click on the picture and select Object Properties. Once I've selected that, there's an option here for background image, which makes my picture behind the grid. So once I close this box, we can now see all of the grid lines on our image. So in order to start determining this parabola that's going to send my bird from the slingshot to the tower, I want to graph 3 points. So in order to graph a point on this window, I'm going to select my point tool. And then the first point I want to be actually on my starting point. So I'm placing that point just by clicking. And then I want to go over and kind of estimate what this might be as far as my vertex for the height of my parabola. So in order to do that, I'm just going to pick a point, which would be point B. And then my last point is going to be my target point at where I think it actually hits the tower. So now that I have these 3 points, which are labeled A, B, and C, I want to change the names of these points. So I can go over here to my left window, right click here, and scroll down to Rename. I want to rename my point A to be my starting point, and then just click OK. I want to rename my point B to be my vertex, And then lastly, I want to rename my point C to be my actual target. So now that we have these points, if we can recall our vertex form to be y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k, we know that our xy values will be our starting point, which will be 0.96, 2.64, and our hk value will be our vertex, which will be 9.845. So now we can use these 2 points to substitute into our vertex form to find the value of a. So once we do this math, we can solve for our a and find a to be negative 0.02992858 to be exact. So now that I found this equation and I want to actually graph my parabola, I come down to the input box and I can enter that just as we would anywhere else. So now we can just say y equals our a value, which is negative 0.02992858 times the quantity of x minus our h value, which is 9.84, and that is quantity squared, so you can just caret 2, plus our k value, which is just 5. And in order to graph this parabola, we can just hit enter. So now we can see we have our parabola that goes through our starting point of where our bird is going to leave the slingshot. He goes across this parabola through the vertex, so the highest point of his flight, and then he comes close to the target, which is where we sort of guessed he would come crashing into the tower, killing the pig, and therefore winning this level. So this is just one example of how GeoGebra can be used in the classroom, but also very real-world accurate and can be used for a variety of different applications, not only in math, but it makes it simple to import pictures and use these images to do all kinds of new things.